I got revenge on my ex. When I was 15, I met my now ex, who was 27 at the time. He was in the Navy and posted to my city for a few years. We started talking, and he asked me to show him around, as he had never been to my city. I agreed, and we went on from there. Throughout our 6-year relationship, he would often accuse me of cheating. I'm fairly attractive, and I'd often get strange men on my social media trying to talk to me or commenting on my posts. He thought was I cheating on him? I suppose I did respond to a few, but it was always a thank you or an emoji. A few months into showing him around, we started staying at Airbnbs, as he was living on base at this time. While there, he says he wants to confide in me and be honest. He tells me he has a fetish and he is into fart, cheers, scat type of stuff. I thought this was disgusting, but didn't want him to feel ashamed or judged, so I said it's okay and gave him a hug. He would often bring up sex stuff, mainly around the ass and butt plugs, after that, to the point that he bought me one as a present. From then on, our relationship was like any other. Fast forward to when I'm 18 and living out of home, he's able to come visit, but I live in a shared house with 3 other girls. He comes over to stay the night, and I make dinner. We all eat and head to bed. I wake up at 3 a.m. to find him gone. His belongings, his car, just gone. I texted him, but there was no reply. At 7 a.m., he texts me that he forgot he had to do some stuff early in the morning. This was a lie, as he admitted he just couldn't sleep, so he left. We argue, and he breaks up with me. 2 weeks later, he sends me a story, an erotic fanfic that he had written for me. I was disturbed, as it was a fart scat fanfic about me doing all this to him, like farting in his mouth. Reading this, I almost threw up. He convinced me to write him one back, and so I did. It was not good. From then on, that became our dynamic. We would tell stories to each other. He started sending me links to sites that relate to his fetish. Soon, our sex life was just about me, farting into his mouth. After a while, I flew over again to see him. While there, we had a magical time until he went through my phone yet again and was upset by what he found. We got into an argument and decided to cut our day short and go home. This was a 2-hour drive fighting about me, apparently cheating. We got home, and I went upstairs to call my best friend and tell her about what had happened while he was downstairs watching TV on the couch. I got undressed, put a towel on, and walked downstairs, where he was lying down watching One Piece. I looked over, smiled, and walked up to him. I climbed onto his face, let out a fart, thinking it was makeup sex. He got into it. I paused, looked at him, and smiled again before asking him to open wide and shitting in his mouth. He's now threatening to break up with me for doing it, as it's only a fantasy for him. Revenge dating my university ex? Hey Reddit, I, 27, male, need to get something off my chest and figure out if I'm the asshole in this situation. Back in university, 2016-2019, I dated a girl, and since we're Egyptian, dating was a bit different. Her parents didn't know about us, and our relationship was mostly going out, texting, saying I love you, and sometimes getting intimate with hugs and kisses. We started dating in our second semester. We were both 18 and pretty immature. I made the first move because our conversations felt so familiar, like deja vu, and I wanted her by my side. We dated for 6 months, during which I lost all my friends because she demanded all my time. She wouldn't let me hang out with my male friends, expected me to text her constantly, and would start fights if I fell asleep before her. The breaking point came when she told me her older sister thought I was of a lower class than them and that she could do better. I didn't argue because it wasn't true, and I didn't have the energy. For context, her mom was a nurse, and her dad had a market stall, both low-paying jobs in Egypt. We were both actually upper middle class. We broke up during the summer break. I had a glow-up, got social again, and she kept a limited group of friends. Here's where the revenge part kicks in. I never cut ties with her. I'd date other girls for a few months, she'd know about it, and then I'd go back to her. The first time, we got super sexual because of my glow-up and her jealousy. I felt it was revenge for 2 reasons. She realized I could do better, and she had shamed me for asking about intimacy. I left her again, dated someone else, and went back to her, making sure she understood we were on the same socioeconomic level she looked down upon. The third time, I gave her 0 attention and eventually told her to block me so we could move on. After that, I got therapy, worked on myself, stayed single for a year, and then met my fiance. Considering getting my ex fired me, 26 female, and my ex, 24 male, met at work. We were together for a year and a half and moved in together. We still worked together at our corporate job, but in different departments. When we ended, we both avoided each other and tried to make it civil as a few coworkers knew we were together. He kept the apartment after I insisted we get a subleaser because he was working late for a promotion and didn't want the hassle of moving. After weeks of back and forth, we decided that I would help pay a quarter of the rent for the rest of the lease. 1 month after I moved out, he moved his high school ex-girlfriend from Canada to the apartment. I didn't know how long she was staying and wanted to move on, so I didn't say anything. After 2 months of her staying there, I was sent a photo that they were engaged. I assumed the timeline was sped up because she would need papers to stay and work. I was upset and canceled my future checks for the apartment. Neither of us reached out about it. The next month, March, they got married in a small ceremony on my birthday weekend. My birthday was a Monday, and he got married the day before. At this point, we have been broken up for 5 months. I feel like myself again, but that hurt me. But ultimately, I did nothing. Yesterday, he started reaching out via text about the rent money money since I canceled the checks 2 months ago. I left him on red, but this ticked me off the most. I couldn't believe he would want me to financially support him after all this time. When we were dating, he told me in confidence that he dropped out of college and made a fake certificate when he applied to this job, not due to finances, but because he wanted to explore the world. Him reaching out and asking me to pay for him and his wife to live in the apartment we picked out together made me fume. My friends are split on whether I should tell my employer he's a fraud. We work for a Fortune 500 company with a prestigious reputation. Some friends say I would ruin his future prospects. Others say he had it coming, and a third friend says if it gets out, it might make me look like a bitter ex. He is a fraud, and I am just looking for guidance on if I should do it. He only plans to do this next month when the lease is up, and he keeps insisting on the money. Edit, spelling, and grammar. I also added a sentence about the apartment. Update. I'm not going through with it. It's a fun fantasy, but I wouldn't live with the guilt. I'm not paying him anymore. His wife is responsible for the rent since she lives there. I'm gonna let it go now and live my life. I really do hope the best for him and wish him luck. I just got really heated with the audacity of the text. How should I get revenge on my ex-best friend for destroying my life? I was friends with a girl for 9 years, since we were both in middle school, but for the past few months, it felt to me like she didn't respect my time and was jealous of my other relationships. She would constantly call me, and when I wasn't busy, I would answer, but a few nights a week, I couldn't answer because I was hanging out with some of my other friends, and that always made her so mad. She also got very upset with me when I couldn't spontaneously drive to her house. She lives 1.5 hours away on a weekday to see her. She even FaceTimed me while I was with someone and asked me in front of them to leave and go see her. I do offer compromises to her requests if I can't do it. For example, when she wanted me to come over on a weekday, I told her I could come on Saturday instead because I was driving through the area. It seemed like, in this instance and many more, she refused to consider any situation but her own ideal one. The breaking point for me was at her New Year's Eve party at her house. Everyone else was leaving, and she was going to bed, so I wanted to leave as well and not sleep on a couch. For some reason, I wasn't allowed to do this. She told me if I left, it would end our friendship. I have no clue why this was so important to her, but I hate sleeping on couches, so I left anyway and accepted not being friends anymore. After this, she decided to blackmail me. She requested $50 from me, or else she would send not safe for work photos of me to my parents. I asked several people what to do about it, and they advised not to pay her, so I didn't. She then showed up at my parents' house and told them that I owed her $100 for the party, and they told me to just pay her anyway. Notice how she increased the price. Now, I know she does not need this money, and she also knows I do. I struggle a lot with money. That's why she had the photos of me in the first place, because for a little while, I had to sell them to afford groceries. So I paid her the $100 with the agreement that she would never contact me or my family again. Immediately after I sent the money, she sent everything anyway. This practically ruined my life because my parents were just as upset as we both knew they would be and pulled me out of college and made me move back in with them. She knew this would happen, and she knows my parents and I don't get along very well. This was her goal. So, too long, I didn't read. My ex-bestie scammed $100 from me, had me removed from university, and made me move away from all of my other friends because I didn't want to sleep on her couch. Now I desperately want to get a sliver of revenge. Dealing with betrayal is tough, but focusing on growth is key. Subscribe to Roundup Reddit for more empowering stories and advice. Hit that bell icon to join our community. Remember, your journey to healing starts now. Thanks for watching.